It is the 41st millennium. Mankind battles for survival across the universe, besieged on all fronts by the heretic, the mutant, and the alien. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. One faction of Space Marines stands amidst the chaos, the mightiest of the Emperor's warriors, and a beacon of light in the darkness. This legion, the 9th Legion of Adeptus Astartes, the Blood Angels. Hello, good evening. I think we're good actually. Cool. I think we are good. How's everybody? Good evening. Good evening. Did anyone have an interesting weekend? Yeah, good question, Michael. Hello, Todd. Hello, Terence. We got 5 lists to look through tonight. So we'll be looking through Blood Angels lists like we do every week. Something weird was happening with the computer there for a second. So every week, Sunday night, we look through Blood Angels. Something is happening. Like my lights are flashing. Hold on. I don't think you guys can see that. There's definitely flashing lights happening in here. Okay, fixed. Army list, Sunday night. It's what we do. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to get your list on the show, what you need to do is when the stream finishes, post in the comments for this video your entire army list. We'll put it in the... We'll hopefully get it on the next week's show or a couple of weeks from now. It's been pretty busy since the new points costs, so that's where we'll be starting, hopefully. Well, we'll actually be starting with Yuan, who's a newer player, but all these lists should be using new points costs. If anyone ever submitted a list on the old points costs before the balance late a few weeks ago and I never got round to it, then I'm sorry. I do try and get every single list reviewed at some point, but if you're still waiting, I don't think I missed anyone, but maybe I missed one or two. Please resubmit a list using the new points cost. We'll get it on the stream. We'll get it reviewed. Jason's enjoying a long weekend, finishing up Dante. Yeah, it's a bank holiday here tomorrow as well, Jason. I'm going to go to work because my kid's off. My kid's off nursery on Friday, so I'm going to take my bank holiday on Friday instead. But, so my office will be pretty quiet tomorrow, so that'll be fine. Head down, plenty of work to do. Okay, Yuan is going to start Sons of Sanguinius to kick us off tonight. We'll read his comments after we've read the list. Captain with the bolt pistol and mastercrafted power weapon. I think he has to attach to the blade guard, if I remember correctly. Dante, Lamartez, a lieutenant, Sanguinary Priest with a jump pack. Okay, so Dante, we're expecting, I guess, something for him to lead. We're expecting something for Lamartez to lead. Something for the priest to attach to. And then probably Blade Guard, right? So Assault Squad with 5 guys. It's not a lieutenant, it's a sergeant in the squad, but sure. Sergeant with plasma pistol. I'm just going to change that. Sergeant with the plasma pistol. You probably want to actually replace one of the chainswords with a power weapon. Like a power fist is the best weapon you should put in an assault squad. You've got the 5 regular intercessors in there. Again, you probably want to put a power fist on the sergeant. It's worth doing. You've got the 6 blade guard, which I guess this captain will attach to. My personal opinion of that is I think the Judiciar is a much stronger choice to pair with the blade guard. You've got the Death Company Marines, 5 of them on foot. Bit of a random choice of weapons. Again, if you get more power fists in here, that would be good. Death Company Marines with jump packs. Again, bit of a random choice of weapons. I would focus on plasma pistols or infernal pistols, and then power fists as the other option. You've got a lancer. You've got a land raider, regular land raider with las cannons. You've got 2 squads of outriders, and you've got 10 vanguard veterans. So I guess Dante and the priest are going with the 10 vanguard veterans. We got 3 with shields. We got 6 with infernal pistols, and we got one with a flamer. I actually kind of like the idea of doing not the whole Vanguard veteran squad with shields. Because there will be situations where the AP is low and you don't need the shield, and then the shield gives you no benefit. So yeah, I kind of get on board maybe with that. Whereas on the other squads, I would add Power Fists. Hello, Highland Phoenix. How are you? Hello, Ivengi. I'm watching this while in an empty apartment on a folding chair, says Miguel. Oh dear, Miguel, what's happened? Okay, as a new players list, this isn't horrific, I guess. You've got the 10 Death Company Lamartas, that's good. You've got Dante and the Priest with the 10 veterans. That's also pretty good. The Blade Guard, I think, are a good squad. Adding a Judiciar I would prefer over a Captain, but I think a Captain of the Blade Guard is kind of okay. Hello, Marius. You've got the Lieutenant with the combi weapon for sort of scoring shenanigans. Again, useful character to have. And then you've backed that with some foot, Death Company, some shooting out of a Land Raider and a Lancer, and then a couple of Outrider squads, I guess, to maybe score some objectives and zoom around the map and do stuff like that. Okay, so he said, could you review this list? I'm new to the game after quite a few years, having only previously played Lord of the Rings, but I've been researching around to try and find a good Blood Angels list. I've bought maybe half of my army, oh, he bought half of it secondhand, so some units have limited weapon options. I don't know if people care too much about weapon options. Usually when I start a game now, I just say to my opponent, all my Death Company have Infernal Pistols and Power Fists, because they're modelled with, like, some of them have Thunderhammer, some of them have Chainswords. So it also makes it simpler when you're actually in the game. So I'd almost be tempted to just tell your opponent at the start of the game, if you think 10 Infernal Pistols and 10 Power Fists is the best squad for the Death Company, I just flat out tell your opponent at the write it on your army list so it's super clear, and just say to your opponent, like, this is what, this is the squad that maybe not WYSIWYG, or this is exactly what they are, right? So I'm not sure if it's worth subbing out giving the not ideal loadouts. I mean, their loadouts are probably fine. They're just more ideal if you have the 10 Infernal Pistols and 10 Power Fists, right? If you didn't have, like, a Sergeant for your Assault Intercessors or your Intercessors with Power Fist, probably pick one of them up on eBay super cheap. Or maybe pick up some sort of weapon upgrade sprue or secondhand weapons. Again, on eBay, probably super cheap. In terms of my overall strat, the plan is to have the Captain with the Relic Shield and the Blade Guard moving up in the Land Raider. I mean, that is good. You will eventually have to come out the Land Raider, and I think at that point I prefer the Judiciar, along with 5 Death Company Marines. It's a good loadout for inside the Land Raider, actually. It hits 12 exactly, so it's nice. You got Dante, the Sanguinary Priest, and the Vanguard Veterans, and then Lamarta's unit has both Rapid Ingress Deep Strike options. Yeah, probably these squads will be a lot better Rapid Ingress / Deep Strike, so I'd probably pick one of them to come in turn 2 and pick one of them to come in turn 3. Todd says WYSIWYG in this economy. Yeah, or go to eBay, Todd, and pick up second-hand pieces. That would be what I would do. Or trade, if you can, with friends and stuff like that. With my Outriders and Battle Line units as secondary objective scorers, the main logic for the Vikes versus Assault Intercessors with jump packs is the extra toughness to hold objectives and the extra advance to move up upfield. Yeah, I mean, I'm playing those Outriders. In fact, I'm playing 2 squads at the moment. I still like having a squad of Scouts in my list. Like, I don't run Intercessors and Assault Intercessors. And a lot of people for Blood Angels will actually run Infiltrators. I think Infiltrators are super good units. If you don't have any, you should probably get some. They're very versatile. They just screen so much of the board. They're really, really handy to have. A squad of Scouts here could also go a long way to being very, very handy. I do wonder if there's one too many characters here. But I think if you swapped out that Captain for Judiciar, then I'd probably be feeling pretty great about your list. I just don't know if I feel like I need the Lieutenant with combi weapon. Maybe I would prefer, if it was me, I'd probably run a squad of Scouts. But maybe it's playstyle. Maybe you think the Lieutenant with combi weapon has more value for you than a squad of Scouts. But yeah, Outriders moving 18 inches is generally pretty good. They can be a nuisance. They can actually kill some stuff in Sons of Sanguinius. I don't mind this list at all. I also do like having the regular Land Raider and a Lancer there just to back it up with basically the equivalent of like 6 las cannon shots every turn. So this is a new player coming back. I guess he's... did he say... yeah, he's never played 40k before. He's playing Lord of the Rings. This is a decent list. My personal opinion of if I was going to play this list right now is... I think you can only have... Or at least when I play, I struggle... I struggle to play like 2 400 Death Ball units. And the Vanguard Veterans plus Dante and the Sanguinary Priest are like 430. And the 10 Death Company with Lamartas is like 400. I find 830 points in 2 units super difficult to deal with. I feel like I need to get a ton of value out of them. So yeah, I do like what you said about rapid ingressing them. I'd bring one in turn 2, one in turn 3. Because you can only rapid ingress once per turn, obviously. And maybe that's the best way to play them, because those units, when they're 830 points of your army, which is damn near half your army, those units need to get maximum value for you. So you need to be bringing them in, rapid ingressing them, then moving 12 and guaranteeing a short range charge into a really tough target. But that's fine if you can make that work. I didn't risk doing that because I was too scared about it. So I split the 10 Death Company that I had with jump packs into 2 5-mans, and that's been working for me. But yeah, I can understand why you would play this way, Yuan. So I think it's a pretty good list. Hello, McFatson. Good evening. Idea: Land Raider full of characters for the memes. You thought on the Blood Angels party bus. Unfortunately, Blood Angels can't. The Land Raider doesn't have any firing windows, which was a little bit silly, I think. You would definitely feel like on the Land Raider, there's definitely should be like a firing deck, right? Am I wrong in that? I feel like there's some windows that surely somebody could shoot out of. Let me have a look. Well, I mean, you've got the one guy who's popping his head out the top, so he could shoot for sure. If you don't have the Hunter-Killer Missile thing on here, there would be another hatch. Technically, this opens as well, right? So technically, you would think that maybe someone... This doesn't have to be fully closed. It could be open a little bit. We could fit a few bolters up here, couldn't we? And then these hatches here, you'd tell me you wouldn't have someone hanging out the side, you know, Call of Duty style, hang on, shooting. Does it have firing deck 1? I don't think it has firing deck at all, right? Land Raider, firing deck 0? I feel like it could actually probably have more, but maybe for balance issues they couldn't give it. It's got no firing deck, I'm convinced. I'm convinced it's got no firing deck. Yeah, I don't think it's got a firing deck. But I think it could possibly have at least one. You were saying the dude sticking his head out should make it firing deck 1, yeah? Firing deck 2 with the side doors in front of the las cannons. I mean, he wouldn't have to be sticking all the way out. You could just open the side hatch a little bit and shoot, right? Or that front door could definitely open. You're telling me they're not going to be driving around with that front door, a little slit in it? Get some bolters out of there. I mean, in Space Marine 2, the trailer we just had this week for the new game, which looks pretty cool, by the way, a bunch of Space Marines weren't wearing their helmets, right? I mean, I guess those guys are immune to getting shot in the head or sniped in the head, huh? So if they're not going to wear their helmets, you're not going to tell me they aren't going to open the doors and try and shoot out the Land Raider. Okay. Robert's list next. He's called his list Nids. I guess maybe he's struggling against Nids. Okay. So this is Gladius. We've not reviewed Gladius for a little while. We've got the Biologist with Fire Discipline. We've got the Captain with Artificer Armor. That gives him a 5-up Feel No Pain and a 2-up save. With the Judiciar with Honor Veilmont, which gives +1 strength, +1 attack, +2 strength, +2 attack if we're in the Salt Doctrine, and double Tech Marine. So I'm expecting some armor. I'm probably also going to be expecting a big squad of aggressors to go with the Biologist, big squad of Blade Guard to go with the Judiciar, a drop pod, oh interesting, 3-man squad of Eradicators, double Lancer, a squad of Infiltrators, a Crusader. Wow, we don't see the Crusader very much. It's a... Love this. Was this 2,000 points exactly? Because I really dislike the Crusader. I'd much rather spend the extra 10 points and get a regular Land Raider. We've got a Repulsor Executioner here, and then we've got a Vindicator tank. I actually don't like the Executioner either, having played it a few times. I don't think it has enough shots for the amount. I mean, it has a bunch of crap shots. It doesn't have enough good shots. Like, I would rather... Like this, 250 points... 250, yeah? 450, sorry. I would rather have a regular Land Raider and another Lancer or something, or a regular Land Raider and a Thunderstrike or something. Like, I don't really rate the Repulse. I tried the Repulsor Executioner a couple of times. I don't really rate it. Apparently, it's very good in Iron Storm, but maybe not so good in Gladius. So this is a very shooting Blood Angels list. So you've got 6 aggressors with the sustained hits potentially. You've got a Captain and Gravis who would probably have to attach to the Eradicators. You've got a drop pod. I'm not actually sure what's inside the drop pod. What can go in the drop pod? I'm not actually sure. I don't run drop pods. Oh, drop one of the enhancements? Yeah, you could definitely drop one of the enhancements for get a regular Land Raider in there. What can go in the drop pod? Regular infantry. It can't do Jump Pack, Wolven, Gravis, Centurions, or Terminators. So what's he actually got that can go inside the drop pod? I need help. Guys, oh, are the Blade Guard inside the drop pod? Do people do that? They've got Tacticus as a keyword. Does that mean they can still go in there? Yeah, I mean, I don't think it specifically said you couldn't have Tacticus. So it's maybe the Blade Guard? Okay. I'll read his comments in a second. Double Tech Marine, double Lancer, the Infiltrators, the Crusader, the Repulsor, the Vindicator. My goodness, he has a lot of anti-armor in here. Eradicators as well. Okay, let me see what he said. Okay, it's mostly against Nids, but recently could be going against Tau, Death Guard, Eldar, the Blade Guard and the Judiciar are in the drop pod to hold the objective. Okay, that's what I thought, yeah. The aggressors with the Biologist and Captain in the Crusader. Oh yeah, you can attach the Captain and Gravis to the aggressors as well. That lets you use the free stratagem on them, which is valuable when you need them in Devastator Doctor in every turn, right? The Captain allows me to get 1 free CP a turn. The Captain allows me to free up 1 CP a turn for the Blade Guard to get Lance. The Captain also gives me Soak Wounds for the aggressors too to keep them at full strength for longer. I mean, it doesn't, right? You can't take wounds on your aggressor. You can't take wounds on your Captain before you've killed your aggressors off. I think maybe you're missing that. The Eradicators in the Executioner with the Tech Marine following the Executioner to give it +1 to hit. The Lancer and Vindicator for fire support. Second Tech Marine giving the Vindicator +1 to hit. And of course, Infiltrators to hold the objective. Thanks for consideration. You know, I guess I don't hate the idea of just drop podding onto an objective with the Blade Guard and the Judiciar if they are obscured and they can just hold the objective. The aggressors and the Biologist and the Captain and the Crusader. I think you'd be better just changing that into a Redeemer, honestly. You could easily put those 3 Eradicators into reserve. Yeah, I'd probably do something like change the Crusader into Redeemer. Because it's going to need to get up the board to get the aggressors close. So at that point, his Flamers become very deadly. So pay the extra 30 points of that. I'd probably lose this tank completely. So you've got, if you need the 30 points for that, you've got 190. Then just make your Eradicator squad like a 6-man. put them in reserve, so then you have 95 points left. At that point, you could do unit of scouts for scoring. You could do unit of infiltrators for sticky objectives. You could probably like lose an enhancement on this Gravis captain. And then you'd have 100 points. Well, what can you get for 100 points? I guess you could get like a squad of jump assault intercessors. I think there would be lots of choices, and I don't think I rate the Repulsor Executioner in Gladius. Having played it a few times, it's because it only gets 2 shots from like its main cannon. You're probably not going to have rerolls, and you're probably not going to be able to stay still with it. So you get 2 rolls to hit, you miss once, and then it's like you're paying 220 points for one las cannon hit. I think taking an impulsor over the drop pod might be better. I mean, the impulsor probably survives better, but in terms of just dropping the drop pod on the center objective turn 1, that's probably better. Robert says, when is the Blood Angel specific units? Don't think he's got any. I mean, that isn't the end of the world, right? Some people get upset about that, but it's not. It's not super important, right? Spec says, I'm a new Patreon member. I saw in your video yesterday you were putting together 6 versus 6 in Space Marine 2 against Valrak. I mean, that's all theoretical, Spec 77. I just messaged him and said, let's do 6 versus 6. I don't know if we can. I don't know if we can actually do that. Like, I don't know how their private lobbies will work, but yes, 100%. If they set up private lobbies and we can do that, then yes, channel members will get first shout for that for sure. James says because you could paint them red and Blood Angels are cool. Yeah, I mean, the other option, I suppose, would be to lose the Repulsor Executioner and put in like 5 Death Company with jump packs. They are amazing, even in Gladius. They're pretty great. I went to a tournament running Death Company with jump packs in Gladius, and they were really good. And taking 5 Death Company with jump packs would free up 80 points, which would let you spend your 30 points on the Crusader. You drop that 1 enhancement, and then you would have enough for a squad of scouts as well. And that's one thing you don't really have in this list is like a infiltrating deep strike squad that can be throw away and just score points, right? So, yeah, it's an interesting one. I guess some Blood Angels players want to be a little bit more shooting. I played like 20 games of Gladius at the start of the edition before they made Sons of Sanguinius a viable detachment. So I'm actually very familiar with Gladius, and I think it's fairly strong for Blood Angels. And yeah, you can do pretty well without taking any Blood Angel specific units. It's not the end of the world. I think my Gladius list only had like 2 Blood Angel specific things. I think I had the Librarian Dreadnought and the Death Company. That was it. You could even argue that a Death Company Dreadnought instead of this Repulsor Executioner could be very useful as well. Again, it would free up 75 points, which is like the 30 extra points you need for the Crusader. Lose one of the enhancements, you've got a squad of scouts as well. Cool. Okay, let's move on to the third list for tonight. Next list by Corpse Monkey, and this is back to Sons of Sanguinius. Okay. Captain with Artisan of War, Power Fist Plasma Pistol. Captain with a jump pack. I guess he needs to change the weapon options on the Captain with the jump pack. Power Fist is what you want, really. I don't really care about the pistol, but Power Fist for sure. The Judiciar, Lieutenant. This will be just a regular Lieutenant, not the Lieutenant with the combi weapons, not the lone operative one. This guy is more likely to be attached to Blade Guard or something like that. Okay, squad of heavy intercessors. 10 mana assault intercessors with jump packs. 6 Blade Guard, 2 Brutalis Dreadnoughts. I've played these once since they went down to 160 points. I think they're like okay at 160. I think I would run it again at once. I don't think it was amazing, but I guess toughness 10, 2 up save with 160 with 12 wounds isn't horrific, and it can do some good damage. Like, it can do 12 mortals when it charges, which is pretty nice. Too bad the drop pod can't hold 11 models. I mean, you could field Mephiston and 9 models inside it, right, James? One assault intercessor has to die for the cause. That'd be the worst thing ever. We've got the company heroes here, so they're probably going to be attached to the regular captain that is Artisan of War. The company heroes have to be attached to a unit or they die at the start of the battle, so they need to be attached. They're an interesting squad, though, the company heroes. You get the champion, you get the ancient, and you get 2 veterans. One guy's got a 2 damage bolt rifle, one guy's got a 3 damage heavy bolter, one guy's got like a blade guard sword, one guy's got a banner that's giving them 2 OC, and then they're 4 wounds a pop, the veterans, and they're -1 to wound as well. So in terms of survivability, you know, like, you get, what, 5 assault intercessors for 75. So these guys are 25 more points. But they would have 6 more wounds and -1 to wound. So they don't do as much damage, I suppose, as assault intercessors. But 6 more wounds with -1 to wound is definitely quite a bit more survivability. It's hard to really, you know, 6 more wounds, I guess, would be like 60% more survivable, and then the -1 to wound is modifying the dice roll by 16%. If you think of each pip on the d6 as 16%. So these guys must be like 20 more points than the assault intercessors, but maybe like somewhere in the region of 75 to 80% more survivable. Maybe even close to 100% more survivable in the fact that it would be all 10 wounds are already -1 to wound as well. Interesting, actually. Sorry, there was a question there. Jim says he doesn't like paying for stuff and not using it. Yeah, if it's one model, I guess it's not too big a deal, right? Question about the Gladius Assassin model. Size my proxy seems... Are they just small? I think Gladius Assassins at the moment are supposed to be on 28, but Wapedia will tell you. You just go to Wapedia and go Imperial Agents. Agents of the Imperium, sorry. Gladius Assassin should be on a 32mm now, apparently. I was going to say, she did get released. Oh, Wapedia are selling alternative scouts now, or alternative sculpt. Sorry, like there's a clicky there. That's probably going to take me to an eBay linking where they show you like an alternative. Apparently, I can't accept their cookies. Oh well, they should have made their website work. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so heavy intercessors. Oh, I talked about that. I talked about Blade Guard. Talked about the company heroes. A Lancer, Infiltrators, a Redeemer, Scouts, more Scouts, and then the Terminator Squad. You can take a special weapon on this Terminator Squad, and I'd probably take the Cyclone Missile Launcher, because you don't have to give up your Stormbolter to get a Cyclone Missile Launcher. It's 2 strength 9 cracked missiles. It's not the end of the world. If you don't take it, but I'd probably take the Cyclone Missile Launcher. You get it for free. 2 squads of Scouts are good. I'd probably... Scouts, in my opinion, should probably have like the Sergeant with a chainsword, 1 Scout with a shotgun, and then 3 Scouts with close combat weapons. That gives them not the close combat weapons, sorry, the combat knives. The knife will give your Scouts an extra attack, which is pretty useful, because Scouts actually get a good number of attacks for Blood Angels. And they are strength 6 on their attacks as well, because of the +2 strength when charging. So if you give your Scouts the combat knives, you get 1 extra attack. Yes, you give up a bolt gun. Whoop-de-doo. Bolt gun never does any damage. And you get 1 extra attack and your strength 6. So I think like a regular Scout on the charge would get 4 attacks at strength 6. Which I actually think is not bad for such a cheap unit. Right? So... 1 shotgun, so they can advance and do an action. then 3 combat knives in both squads, and a chainsword on the sergeant, because the sergeant with the chainsword, I guess, gets 5 attacks. So squad of scouts with 1 guy with a shotgun actually gets 5 attacks at strength 6 -1, and then it would be like 12, 14 attacks at strength 6, no AP. So there's a lot of attacks for 65 points. It's better with... You need knives. You want knives on these guys. The bolters don't kill anything. Not that many attacks from the knives will actually kill stuff. So we've got 1 Lancer in this list. We've got the 2 Brutalis. We've got the Heavy Intercessors. You didn't really give me anything else to go on. Okay, so the Terminator squad could be made a little bit better. So could the Scout squad. The Redeemer is good, we know that. Inside the Redeemer, we probably have, like, the company heroes, plus the captain, and probably the Blade Guard, plus the Judiciar. They all fit inside. So that's quite good. You can unload the company heroes centerboard. You can have the Blade Guard come out somewhere in the middle as well. You got the Infiltrators for the backfield. You got the Heavy Intercessors for a side field objective. You got a couple of Brutalis Dreadnoughts. I feel like the thing that this list lacks a little bit is like the punch of a Death Company or the punch of a Sanguinary Guard, or even to a lesser extent punch of Vanguard Veterans. I guess it's trying to add punch with Brutalis Dreadnoughts. I just don't think I feel like they are as good as Death Company or Sangard. It's trying to add a bit of punch with Assault Intercessors. Again, I don't think they're quite as good as Death Company or Sangard. I guess there's a captain likely attached to them. The lieutenant is likely attached to the Blade Guard, so the Blade Guard can fall back and charge again. Oh no, he said the Judiciar. So actually, I'm not sure what the lieutenant are attached to. I'm not actually sure what the lieutenant... This is why when you send me a list, you need to spend like 2 minutes just writing what the attachments are, so I don't have to guess. But yeah, double Brutalis. I feel like you're bringing them in from reserve and then rolling the dice on a 9-inch charge. It's fine if it works. It feels a little bit risky. McFadden said, I wish we had more Blood Angels lists that weren't Gladius or Sons of Sanguinius. I mean, we need a codex, McFadden, to give us some more detachments, right? We do occasionally see Ironstorm that are very good, right? Like, Ironstorm lists tend to top the meta. They seem to be the strongest. Got Infiltrators for the backfield. Yeah, I feel like if this was me, I'd probably, like, lose a Brutalis Dreadnought, maybe lose half the squad of Assault Intercessors, or even lose the Heavy Intercessors and add some Death Company. I might even lose this Lieutenant. I'm not entirely sure what he goes with, and give them a chaplain with the Death Company, so the Death Company can do a bunch of punching. Then I would Rapid Ingress them. I think that would make it stronger, because I think even if you can't afford Lamartes, chaplains are still good with the Death Company. 10 Death Company with a chaplain, 355 points. When they make a charge, that's still 40 strength 10 power fists with full rerolls to hit. The chaplain gives them built-in +1 to wound, so they probably don't need any CP spent on them. So you spend 1 CP to bring them in, you make a 12-inch move in your turn, you bring them in Rapid Ingress, you pay the 1 CP to make the Rapid Ingress, you make the 12-inch move, and then you just stomp over something. And I think that's more reliable than Brutalis Dreadnoughts. But overall, I don't think the list is too bad. I think I'd just make a small change to try and get some stompy Death Company in here. Okay. Next up, we have another Sons of Sanguinius, where for the first time ever, I think we've seen 3 Judiciars. Right, this is a McFadden special. Did you create another YouTube account, McFadden, to send me another meme list? So we got 3 Judiciars, a Lieutenant with Visage of Death, and the Sanguinary Priest. 10 Assault Intercessors here on foot. I guess they're probably attached to the Sanguinary Priest on foot. 5 Jump Intercessors. I was going to say, if he's got 3 Judiciars, alright, so we've got 18 Blade Guard. Interesting. A squad of Infiltrators, a squad of Scouts, with some shotguns. I don't really rate the missile launcher and the sniper rifle and scouts. I think knives are better. But I do think the shotgun's useful. 3 drop pods. Okay, wow. 3 drop pods, 3 squads of Blade Guard. This is the biggest meme list we've had this week. Yeah, we're almost going to have a meme list section now each week, aren't we? Because one of you batshit people are going to send me something that... Here's the thing. I'm supposed to give advice. How do you give advice on 3 drop pods, 3 Judiciars, and 18 Blade Guard veterans? I mean, how many points is that? It's got to be like damn near half the army. 540 plus 210 plus 210. Yeah, it's 960 points you've spent on 3 drop pods, 3 Judiciars, and 18 Blade Guard. The Judiciar is the chaplain in learning who lets the Blade Guard fight first. So when the enemy charges the Blade Guard, the chaplain basically lets you fight. The Judiciar is... He doesn't have the chaplain keyword, but my understanding from the lore, he is learning to be chaplain, and he has the ability to let units he's attached to fight first. What's up, Reziel? Good evening. This is an interesting one. So, turn 1, you're going to drop 3 drop pods in obnoxious positions. You're going to jump out the 6 Blade Guard and the Judiciars, hopefully on objectives, and then you're going to basically say, charge me. Because when you charge me, I will fight you first. Hopefully I'm in an obscure position so I can't be shot off the table. I still have a Land Raider and a Lancer to bring some fire support. I have 2 squads of scouts to do some actions. I have a squad of infiltrators to hold my backfield objective. I have some jump intercessors. And then I guess inside the Land Raider, I do have 10 assault intercessors and Sanguinary Priest. I have no idea how well this list would do. But it does seem like it could be quite fun. His fight first is apparently from the Hourglass, which slows opponents. Kind of why chaplains don't have access to it. Yeah, it's called Temper Mortis. And I guess it's his hour. He has a special magical hourglass that slows opponents down that lets him fight first. The Judiciar is a cool model. I'm surprised they never sold him. Because you can't just buy a Judiciar, right? I think that was what people are upset about. Like, you can't just buy him. You can buy him on eBay for $60. Jesus Christ. Sorry, didn't mean to take the Lord's name in vain. That's ridiculous, though. Absolutely ridiculous. Yes, they only sell them in this big Heroes of the Chapter box that comes with, like, a captain, a Blade Guard Ancient, 3 Eradicators. Oh no, so it's like a squad of Blade Guard, a squad of Eradicators, a Blade Guard Ancient, a Chaplain, and the Judiciar. I mean, that's not a lot of models for $95, is it? Wow. I guess literally the Judiciar, or the Judicar, is it Judicar? I thought it was Judiciar. I thought there was another I in there. Maybe I'm saying it wrong. There is another I in there. There's just no not. Have Games Workshop spelt it wrong on this page? Yeah, they've missed out one of the I's. Yeah, on their on the official GW site, they spelled it wrong here. Okay, cool. Just checking. Just checking. I mean, usually if someone's messed up, it's me because I'm an idiot. You'll put it on their Facebook page that they spelled it wrong. Good. Yeah, I would. If you don't have a Judiciar, you need to convert one of your characters into. I mean, basically just a character with a sword and this hourglass thing. But that's a weird kit, right? Like, where it's not like I could maybe understand if it was like these 5 guys or these 6 guys were like the company heroes. It's just like 3 Eradicators and 3 Blade Guard. It's a weird kit. But yeah, you can't get him. So because you can't get him, nobody plays this. Nobody I know has 3 Judiciars. I've got 2, but only because I swapped my half of Indomitus with Miles to get... I gave him the Tyrannids, he gave me his half. Or was it maybe Necrons, actually? I can't remember. Indomitus was, I think it was Necrons. So I think I gave away my Necrons. I think this might be a fun list to play, but I have no idea how it does. Blade Guard can be obnoxious. They can be difficult to charge. I generally find when I'm charging my enemy with 6 Blade Guard and the Judiciar, if you use their ability, Sword of the Chapter, that lets you reroll hits of 1 on those Blade Guard. You are getting 30 attacks from the Blade Guard. Hitting on 3s, rerolling 1s. So you get 77% hits, which I guess out of 30 attacks is 23 hits. Bear in mind, if you play, and then typically the best thing to do in those guys is play Red Rampage, right? And when you add in the 6 attacks from the Judiciar, you end up making the opponent take like 20-25 saves at -2 damage. So the Blade Guard do a ton of damage if you're able to play Red Rampage on them. So having 3 squads of Blade Guard inside drop pods actually feels pretty scary because they're hard to charge, because if you charge them, you still kill a bunch of guys. And if you make the charges, they kill a bunch of bad guys. Characters are $25, so it's not too bad, really. Yeah, it's just the fact that it's such a weird set, Marius. Like, nobody I know needs Blade Guard or Eradicators, right? You got 6 Eradicators in the Indomitus box. You got like 6 Blade Guard in the Indomitus box, and then Blade Guard were in that magazine that everybody bought a bunch that were cheap. Like, I never bought any of the multi-part kits of Blade Guard. I think I've got like 12 of them or something, right? Yeah, that's a weird kit. This is a weird list, though. I like it. It's got it kind of has everything. It's got the infiltrators, it's got the scouts, it's got a bunch of melee threat, it's got las cannons to back it up. It's got a bunch of assault intercessors and sanguinary priests. I'm not so sure what this lieutenant's doing, though. Power Fist, Mastercrafted Power Weapon, Bolt Pistol. Yeah, I'm not sure what the lieutenant's doing. It's not the lieutenant with the combi weapon, right? So yeah, if I knew what that lieutenant was doing, but I think for the most part, this would be a pretty interesting list to play. I don't think I don't know anyone that owns 18 Blade Guard either. Anyone in chat own 18 Blade Guard? When is the Command Squad releasing? I mean, they're called Company Heroes now, right? Are they not released? I thought they were. This is them, $40. See, that's much more reasonable price, I think. Because you get the 5 guys plus the captain. You know, like if Marius is saying the captain on his own is usually 25, then this is great value. Especially if you buy it from a reseller like Element Games. I bet it's like $32 on Element Games. Yeah, like $32. Like that seems much more reasonable. I don't know why the Judiciar is buried in that $95 pack. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me. How to max squad Blade Guard with a captain being a Storm Raven? I mean, if you get the Blade Guard into combat, it's fine. I just don't know if I feel like a Storm Raven is the best way of delivering a squad of guys. Rezio says he thinks he might own 18 Blade Guard. You might be the only person. Oh no, Peaches owns 18 as well. Since I own 30 plus Thunder Cavalry for my Space Wolves in 7th edition, I may have a problem. Okay, there's a few of you. Good for you guys. Okay, so one of you guys, do me a favor, run a 18 Blade Guard and 3 Judiciars and 3 drop pods and tell me how it is, because on paper it actually sounds like it could be kind of interesting, but I have no idea. I have no idea. Can you rapid ingress a drop pod? Surely you can if you wanted to, can you? I only have one drop pod, and it's honestly been in its box pretty much since I picked it up. I've never got around to building it. Okay, last list for tonight, and it is Sons of Sanguinius. So I forget who it was that said that I think it was McFadden said that he was upset that all we see is Sons of Sanguinius and Gladius lists. Well, I guess if you Sons of Sanguinius, Gladius, and Ironstorm are the detachments people are winning with, so it makes sense that we see those. We need to get, if you want to submit a list from another detachment, we can look at it, but I think people are going to gravitate to the detachments that win games, right? Okay, so Luke has won 2 games with this. And he starts with Ancient and Terminator armor with a Thunderhammer and Storm Shield. Don't see that too often. The Ancient with Terminator armor might actually be very useful in the Terminators, because the second you start losing Terminators, it gives them +1 to hit. It could be a way of counteracting the fact that Terminators have crap weapon skill. If he's got Assault Terminators in this list, then I guess this might be an okay choice. Did you put a list in, Zacharias? I don't think I saw it. Or did... Captain in Terminator armor, who is the Warlord with a Relic Fist and a combi weapon. The combi weapons are so bad now, by the way. I didn't realize just how bad combi weapons on Terminators were until I played my Terminator Librarian the other week, and I was like, combi weapons are... On a Terminator character, they just seem absolute garbage. Captain in Terminator armor, where is he? Rapid fire 1. So in 12 inches, you get 2 shots with a ballistic skill. So you actually take -1 to hit by having this combi weapon. You get 2 shots. Anti-infantry 4 up, dev wounds. Oh, I guess if you're shooting infantry, they might not be totally rubbish. But if you're shooting anything else beyond infantry, they feel kind of rubbish. Okay. Chaplain with a jump pack and a Tech Marine. Right, Brutalis Dreadnought, 3 Assault Squad Centurions with Siege Drills and Meltas. You probably want to lose the Assault Launchers from 2 of the models and add Bolters, because that would be free. You only need 1 model with Assault Launchers to be able to use the Grenades keyword. So you're basically giving yourself... You're losing out on up to 12 Bolter shots by not putting bolters. I think it's a Hurricane Bolter on both guys, and it's 3 shots, rapid fire 6, standard 24 inches, right? You got Death Company Dreadnought. You got 10 Marines with jump packs, Infernals, and Power Fists. This is probably how you should be fielding Death Company if you're not already. Eliminators, Eradicators, Librarian Dreadnought, Redemptor Dreadnought, Executioner, and an Assault Squad of Terminators. Okay. So this is Sons of Sanguinius. We've got like 2 Dreadnoughts and the Centurions. Then we've got the 10 Death Company, and then the rest is all shooting, right? Eliminators, Eradicators, Librarian. I guess the Redemptor's has got a fist, but it's kind of a shooting platform. Terminators. Yeah, this one's just on the edge of like, it's got like half the army is benefiting from Sons of Sanguinius. This list's sort of like right on that ballpark of like, if it had 1 less melee unit and 1 more shooting unit, it might be better in Gladius. The Ancient and Terminator armor with the Terminators with Thunderhammers, I'm probably okay with that, right? Because if the 1 Terminator dies, then all the Terminators get +1 to hit, which helps a lot with those Thunderhammers, because those Thunderhammers are really bad with weapon skill 4 up. I guess the second you lose a Terminator, they get quite a bit better. Captain with Terminator armor. I guess probably attached to the same squad. So the Terminators can reroll their charge and they can get a stratagem used on them for free. So maybe like Red Rampage, Armor of Contempt. You got the Chaplain with the 10 Death Company. You got the Tech Marine to try and back up some of the armor solutions, which is the Repulsor, the Redemptor, and was there not one more? The Brutalis. Luke said he won twice. He's got Eradicators inside the Repulsor. Librarian Dreadnought throwing the Centurions around. So, I think, personally, having played Librarian Dreadnought, when you're throwing units around, you want to be throwing around shooting units as opposed to close combat units, right? Because when you throw around a shooting unit, you sort of guarantee you put them in a good position where they get cover, they can't be shot back at. Whereas, like, when you throw around a melee unit, you still need to make a 9-inch charge before you can do any damage. 9-inch charge is literally less than a 50% success rate. There was a handful of Blood Angels lists at the 139 player tournament in my town this weekend, John. I can send you them to later with placings. Yeah, please do. Anytime Blood Angels place near the top of a tournament, I can review it for the channel. That's actually really good content for me to have. I appreciate it, Rezio. If you guys get 2 seconds tonight as well on the stream, if you could hit the like button, I would sure appreciate it. So, yeah, this list is just sort of edging on the fact that, like, there's just enough melee threat. The Terminators, the Death Company Dreadnought, the Centurions, and the Brutalis. But yeah, I feel like, having played Centurions a lot, I feel like they are better being delivered, and I think the only thing they can go inside is a Land Raider or a Repulsor. I feel like the Centurions are better if they're delivered from a transport. The Redemptor Dreadnought, I think, is okay. 210 points does seem expensive. I talked a little bit more about the Repulsor earlier in the stream and how I don't like the Executioner. I guess I'd probably try and swap out that Executioner for a regular Repulsor and maybe get, or a Land Raider Redeemer or something, and maybe try and get my Centurions delivered across the board. I'm not sure. I feel like there's enough value in this Librarian Dreadnought. I'd probably be putting the 10 Death Company into reserve. I feel like this Librarian Dreadnought could be replaced with like a Gladiator Lancer, or, you know, Jump Assault Intercessors, or there's not really very much scoring in this list, except maybe Eliminators can do some scoring. There could be use for a squad of Scouts here. Having played the Librarian Dreadnought a lot to tournaments and played it a lot in Gladius, I struggle to see what, like, the Librarian Dreadnought can have great value. If you had like 6 Eradicators, brilliant. We'll put the Eradicator somewhere obnoxious, we'll kill shit. If you had Aggressors in Gladius, brilliant. If you had Centurion Devastators, brilliant. But like, I just don't see a unit that I'm going, oh right, that combos super brilliantly with Librarian Dreadnought. I just don't see it. I don't ever think making a 9-inch charge is a good play. I think, like, as a Blood Angels player, you should probably be aiming. I think a 9-inch charge is the equivalent of a Hail Mary, if you know what the term is from American football, right? Like, a 9-inch charge is something you do when you're desperate. You don't do it when you're in a good position. It's far too risky. Librarian Dreadnoughts make your opponents screen out if they know about it. Most good opponents screen out anyway, right? But yeah, I mean, it can mess with your opponent a little bit. But yeah, I think you need a giant threat. Like, I think you need 6, or if you're going to run Sons of Sanguinius and a Librarian Dreadnought, I think you probably need to go for the Eradicators. You could even go as far as putting a Biologist in there without the enhancement, so all those Eradicators get lethal hits. Remember, they do reroll their hits, so any potential misses could get rerolled into auto wounds. I don't like the Executioner. I've talked about that. I do think the Redemptor is a little bit overcosted, and having played Terminators recently on stream, Terminators are very durable, but they're also very static. Like, once they get on the board, they're not moving more than 5 inches a turn. I much prefer, like, the points you're paying on those Terminators, which is like 260, 270 points. I would much prefer, like, just having, like, 5 Death Company with a Chaplain, or 2 squads of Jump Intercessors. Actually, you could have 15 Jump Intercessors. You could have 3 squads of 5 or a 10 and a 5 for what you're paying for those Terminators. And I think Terminators are hard to play because they are so slow. Yes, they can weather a storm a bit, but they also, after they come down, they kill a unit, they maybe get onto an objective, and then they're kind of stuck there because they're. If the next objective is like 10, 15 inches away, then it would take them like 2 or 3 turns to get there. So they can kind of come down, they can kill one unit maybe, they can get on an objective. Then I feel like they're kind of stuck, which is kind of why maybe I prefer shooting Terminators. Not that the bolters are all that good, or not that the cyclone missile launcher is all that good. The Terminator Librarian with the Smite is actually not too bad at all. Having played that a couple of times, I do like the Smite on the Terminator Librarian. And the Terminator Librarian gives himself, if he's leading the Terminator, he gives his Smite sustained hits. And if you focus his Smite, he's D6 shots at 24 inches. I think the reason I like him is I rolled a 6 a couple of times for this. So it's D6 shots at 24 inches with potential sustained hits. Strength 6 minus 2, D3. So if you roll like a good number on the number of shots, then his Smite is probably actually going to do more damage than the whole Terminator unit shooting. Yeah, I find that Terminator unit comes in, it shoots a little bit, and maybe charges something, maybe even takes 2 turns to get that charge because you fail the 9-inch charge. They're going to walk forward 5 inches and charge again. And then that's kind of all they can do for the entire game because they're never going to get to another objective because they're too damn slow. After seeing your list, I tried 2x3 Outriders today and an otherwise all infantry list, and they did very well, says Crozier. Super fun game, and it really feels like all out Blood Angels. Hey, maybe I've started a thing where people are finally realizing Outriders aren't hot shit. I'm going to keep running my Outriders. I was painting them again this week. And I know they're the same points as the 5 Jump Intercessors, and I know the Jump Intercessors do more damage, but sometimes you just want durability, and sometimes you do want an 18-inch advance. Sometimes you do want a unit to just sacrifice in the Outriders. They're just doing that, right? Terminators don't do enough damage, and they shouldn't be a cheap unit either. Yeah, I think that's probably the thing. The Terminators don't do enough damage. For the points you're spending on them, they don't do enough damage, but I do think if I was going to run Terminators, I would run the Librarian in Terminator armor and the Terminators with bolters and a cyclone missile launcher over the Assault Terminators. I get the Assault Terminators have that extra wound. I get the Ancient is giving them +1 to hit to kind of counteract the fact that Thunderhammers have a crappy weapon skill, but I think the sustained you would get in both shooting and melee from the Librarian, and the fact that you would actually get a 4-up against psychic attacks, I know that's situational, but it's still useful. I think I would prefer that. I guess the Terminator Ancient gives 1 extra OC, but I mean, if you're on an objective which a bunch of Terminators, I guess one of 2 things has happened. The Terminators have failed to kill the things because they don't do enough damage, so the extra OC might not really be that important. Or if you've got 6 Terminators on an objective, it's probably yours, right? James has jumped on the Outrider train. Nice. Benno was on the Outrider. Loads of people are on the Outrider gangs. Okay. Yeah, I think I've run the Outriders the last 4 games in a row. I guess we'll see how they do this week. I'm playing Eldar this week again. And Andrew's got like Andrew keeps running these stupidly meta Eldar lists. So I guess we'll see how we do up against another crazy meta Eldar list. Last time we played it was very, very difficult. What about Claws with a Chaplain? I don't think it's good enough, man. I don't think you get enough extra attacks with the lightning claws to make them feel worthwhile. I think melee Terminators probably they're probably going to get a kit refresh, and when they get a kit refresh, they hopefully get brand new data slate. Because even I know they brought their points down, but I still think they're kind of garbage. So that's it for this week, I think. Yeah. If you've got a list for next week, put it in the comments for this video. We'll get you on the show next week. There's a couple of people that haven't got on, they submitted last week. We'll probably get them on the show as well. Wednesday night we'll be live against Eldar. That should be a fun one. Hopefully we won't go... I think last time I was down like 40 or 50 points and somehow managed to pull the win out of the bag. Hopefully it won't be quite as brutal as it was last time. But my list is very similar. And I'm still running Dante and 10 Sanguinary Guard, so we'll see how that goes. I'm probably at the point where I'm going to actually run Dante and 10 Sanguinary Guard to the GT, the Blood Angels Commander GT. So I'm probably going to do that. And that might go either way. That'll either go really well or really badly. But hey, it'll be fun, right? Okay, so yeah, submit me a list for next week if you wanted me to look over it. I'll see you guys on Wednesday night. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great Sunday evening, and I will catch you sometime this week. Good night, everyone. Thanks for watching. Peace.